What up, everyone? It's CB Praise,
Praise
back with the CBPodcast. And today, we're doing our podcast in the wilderness. And y'all may be wondering, why haven't you guys been recording in a bit? Well, to answer your question, Jet, do you want to tell him?
I got hit by a truck.
Yeah, pretty wild, crazy story. Some dude ran a red light on his way home from school. And, Jet was on crutches for a bit. And we haven't been able to get together and record, but now he's on an ankle brace, and so we can start recording it again. So we're gonna do that. And would you like to share the details of what happened?
Sure. Here, I'll take the camera. So basically, I was just riding my bike, and then I just got home, and then, well, bammo. that's about it. But truthfully, it was scary, man. I mean, getting hit by a truck is not gonna not be scary, right? What are you doing, bro? But it made me think, like, why did I survive? And I asked a bunch of questions. I'm like, why am I still surviving? And what does God want me to take away from this entire situation? And, after about 3 months, it's been about 3 months, I realized, one thing, he could take away anything at any moment. Like, you could die at any moment. You could get hit by a truck at any moment. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's just like, yeah. And another thing is, God still had a purpose for me. Sometimes God lets things happen to make stuff better. I mean, come on. I'm going to throw that into my testimony, and it's going to sound pretty dope, but it's also just going to be a little reminder that you can lose anything in a blink of an eye, And yeah. I've been healing up. I'm fine somehow. But yeah, circumstances are pretty crazy. But we still living, bro. We still alive. It's gonna take more than an F-150 to kill any of us, cause
we still rolling with it.
Yep. He also got hit by a truck in 3rd grade.
No, 2nd grade.
Second grade.
Technically. And it was actually crazy. I still got a horrible scar on my foot, but I'm alive. And it's crazy. It really puts things into perspective, Like, there's this big world, big universe that God created. He can control whether you live or die. And it really puts into perspective the power that he has and how he really can take away anything at any moment in your life. And so it just means that you got to make every moment count, every moment full of Jesus, and really live for God as if it is your last day on earth, because in all reality, it might be without you knowing it.
Right. And, I always view, like, wearing my seatbelt as, like, I always used to. I'm like, I wore my seatbelt at least 300 times, and I've never gotten into a crash. And then, you never know. That one time you don't wear a seatbelt could be the one time you get into a crash. But, yeah.
All right, we're gonna turn around because we're sort of getting far from our stuff. But yeah, let's keep talking. And God's power is just so immense and wonderful, and really gotta fear him. Not in a way like, oh, I'm scared of like a killer coming into my room at night, but like in the sense where we fear God in a way that we know that he can do anything, and we gotta respect him. How, like, as we're a kid, we fear what our parents could do, but we also love him so much at the same time,
Yeah,
like that sort of
it's
fear.
more that authority role. You're more in trouble. I mean, you're more afraid of the punishment. You're more afraid of the way that they're gonna, like, they govern you. They're supposed to punish you if you're doing anything bad. And that's the thing about God. You're supposed to view him in the fashion that he is your father, which he is. He's the father of everything. He created everything living.
Hey, sir.
Yep. Hey. We should preach Jesus to somebody walking by sometime.
Yeah, low-key, sometime, maybe.
Lift it up like that.
Maybe. All right, guys. We are back. My video cut out for a second, but I'm back. And also,
Let's turn this way.
all right. And also, we are also recording another video at the same time for this other channel that I am a part of. Jet's not a part of it. He's making a guest appearance. It's called Peak Male Experiences. It's where we'll have peak male experiences, you know. And we really just we have fun and go on crazy side quests that are really fun.
That's family friendly though.
Yeah, there's a little bit of not family friendly stuff, you know. I'm really the only Christian on the channel, so you know, the other people, I'm gonna try to pull them in a little bit, maybe introduce them to Christ a bit, educate them, but for now they don't follow him too much. Yeah. But low-key, I have a feeling that might change in the future. But for now, it's not a super family-friendly channel. But yeah, so be warned. Be warned. But on Wednesday for youth group, Jet is going to be sharing his testimony, and so that'll be really cool. And we get to hear his story, and we came out here to practice it. Jet, do you want to tell the viewers your testimony?
Sure.
All right, here's the phone. You got this, bro.
Okay. I'll try to limit it to like 5 minutes. So, basically, I grew up in not so Christian of a household. We claimed we were a Christian, we prayed, and that type of stuff, etc. But at the end of the day, I knew we weren't really Christian, or what now we would call lukewarm. Basically, that was pretty much up until the summer of 2024 and a little bit of the school year. I really wasn't like Christian at all. I wasn't Christian. I'd argue with my family a lot, and I would just get really angry. I don't know if I had anger issues, but I just I didn't handle anger good, and I was really just very distant from God. And then my cousin was like, yo, there's this like thing, there's this camp, right? He's like, it's 5 days, you gotta go without your phone though. I'm like, man, do I really want to go without my phone? I'm like, for 5 days, I gamed all day. I wasn't really in shape. So yeah, I was introduced to that church camp, Cedar Springs Church Camp, the best camp. But yeah, basically, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go. And then with 3 days left, I felt called to do it. I'm like, whoa, okay, I'll go. It sounds fun. And I just feel like I need to go for some reason. And this is pretty interesting though. First few days, I meet my best friends, Camden, and my other best friend, Levi. He's probably not gonna come on here, but he most likely will. But yeah, I met my best friends, and basically, we built a bond over the course of those first 2 to 3 days and to the end of camp. But after that, I started getting into worship more. I was learning the worship songs, and I was really just starting to realize, like, wow, I've been missing out on this my entire life. And it wasn't really till the third night that I really met God. Very, 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 very supernatural experience. We were listening to worship, and I'm fresh to this. It's all new. And a kid that I don't know, he's like, yo, can I pray for you? And it just showed me, like, holy crap, dude, people care for me, and I don't know him, he doesn't know me, but he took his time to do that. And I'm like, this Christian community is just like great. Like if this is gonna be what if this is what it's like, I'm loving it. And then I came back to the cabin, and my cousin was like, yo, do you give your life to God? I'm like, yes. And my cabin mates, Camden, one of them, they all prayed over me. It was so just like moving. And yeah, ever since, I've been trying to read my Bible. Haven't we all been? But trying to read my Bible. You know, we all struggle with sin. We all are fighting our own things, fighting our own demons. But yeah, ever since, I feel like life's been a lot better. And being Christian's not easy, so there's some moments that aren't really the best. But yeah, a few months ago, I got hit by a truck, as I say, I think earlier in the video. And it really tested me, really. It's like, why did God have this happen to me? Why did I survive out of so many people who's been in crashes? I'm like, yeah, I just realized, you know, that at the end of the day, that we all have a purpose, and God's not He's not gonna let us be gone until we fulfill that purpose that we are called to do. So yeah, it's just like everything. There's a plan for everything. And I realized that after healing up for the most part, that I would have rather had it happen than not, because it really just showed God's presence in everything, whether it's bad, like not that he is initiating the bad stuff, which the devil can do that, but sometimes God lets things happen, you know, and sometimes we won't know that why until we're up in heaven. But yeah, that's basically it.
All right, so great job, Jet. That was a very moving testimony, a very moving display of God's glory and love through your life, and how he has really changed you, and how much your walk with Christ has changed. And I guess since I'm not sharing my testimony this Wednesday, but since Jet just shared his testimony, I might as well share mine too, you know? Alright, I cut out for a second there, but I'm going to share my testimony right here, right now. So when I was in 6th grade, or actually when I was in 5th grade, my grandma died. And I love my grandma a whole lot. I probably loved her more than anyone in the world at the time. And she died. And it really took a toll on me, on my emotional health. And I was kind of depressed, even though I was only in 5th grade. I was, sort of depressed. And then in 6th grade, I liked a girl a little bit, all right? Well, I had liked her in 5th grade, then a little bit into the beginning of 6th grade. And she invited me to go to this church thing. And I was like, man, I like this girl. I'm just going to go because she invited me, you know? And then I went there, and each week they have like a special treat. That week happened to be ice cream. And so I didn't learn a whole lot, but there is where I became friends with one of my greatest friends, Levi. And so when I came back for the second time thinking there would be ice cream again, that's when I actually had, that's when I got in the habit to going there more and more and finding Jesus and realizing that everything happens for a reason. So I was still sad that my grandma died, but I realized that everything happens for a reason, even if I don't know what that reason is. But I feel like when I truly gave my life to God was the first ever summer camp I went to, actually the same exact one that Jet went to, the same year too. Yeah. And it really moved me because all we got is having these sacred meetings with God. But I truly gave my life. It was one of the last nights. We were having a thing where the worship team was on stage playing soft music, and then you could go up to get prayed for. And unbeknownst to me, one of my counselors was praying to God that he was praying that if someone who really needed it who really needed prayer would just stand up and find somebody to pray. And right after he prayed that prayer, not even joking, I stood up and went to one of my other counselors. His name was Isaac. I haven't seen him since that camp, but he really moved me. And when he prayed for me, I cried a bit. And he was like, "Hey man, what do you need to get prayed over for?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just felt like I needed to come up here." And he started praying for me, and I bawled my eyes out because in that moment I truly realized God's glory. I felt the Holy Spirit for one of the first times. And from that moment on, I've been trying to live for Christ. Of course, me and Christ have had our up and downs, but in the end, I always come crawling back to him. And just this past camp, I had one of the greatest experiences with the Holy Spirit I've ever had. And now, I'm going to try to live for him more than I ever have. And so that's how I'm going with Christ. You know?
Beautiful, bro.
Hey.
You should probably ask a few questions.
Yeah. Oh, and also, if you guys want to share your testimonies, make sure to do that in the comments. Maybe for our next podcast, we can read a few of them. And that'll be a nice change of pace, you know? All right. You said you had some questions, right?
Yeah. Sorry. When your grandma passed away, or before, like during that time, did you have an idea of what God was, or was he the last thing in your mind?
Well, when I was a kid, I guess I knew what Jesus was, and I guess that I knew that he died on a cross, but I didn't specifically know all that much about him or the Bible. And I used to go to church with my other grandma and my dad, and at my grandma's house, the one that died, we used to always pray before we ate, and we used to pray before we went to bed. And so I knew what Jesus was, and I knew what Christianity was, and I knew about praying. And but I didn't really fully know or grasp it at the time. And I'm glad that, and to be honest, I'm glad that it happened because of what happened. I'm not saying I'm glad that my grandma is dead, but I'm glad how it affected my life and my walk with Christ, because if she would have never died, I'm not sure if it would have put things into perspective or not, and I would have went all the way with God or not. But I miss her every day, you know? Miss her a lot. But yeah. Any other questions?
I'm thinking. So, who was the girl that you... No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. You got any questions for my testimony?
Yes, I do. What did it feel like when you got prayed over by the whole cabin? Like, what thoughts were going through your head? What feelings were you having? And overall, like, how you think that, like, the big picture about how that affected your life as well. Alright, guys. So, low-key, my phone died, and Jet's phone was also dead, so we had to make our way back to the library to continue the video, so then I could charge my phone. But anyways, as I was saying, how did it feel like to get prayed over by the whole cabin? What thoughts were going through your head? What feelings were you feeling? And what did it make you realize?
What was I feeling? There was just a sense of peace. It opened my eyes. It was just very, it was a lot of emotions at once. I didn't know if I wanted to cry. I didn't know if I was just kind of out of words. It was a lot, you know, like, it feels like a sense of peace at the same time. It's just like a whole bunch of emotions bundled up, but none of it's bad. It's all like moving, and it's just like, you'll sit there and be like, for like hours and just be like, wow, that was pretty moving, you know. And then, what were we saying? The effects.
Like also like what you were thinking and what effects it had on your life.
It really affected me because it showed like that the Christian community and just God's people. I probably shouldn't say Christian community because, you know, there's so many, but just God's people, and how they should be welcoming and like how they are welcoming, and just like, yeah, just very considerate of other people. And that's a very good quality to have, and I think that's what sets us apart a lot from other religions, because you don't see a lot of other religions where the God died for us, and was considering us first, and was like, I know they're bad, but I know none of these guys are perfect. I know these guys are the people who got me killed after all, and then still chose to die for us.
Yeah. I think that might be all for the podcast, right?
Yep.
We've had a pretty long podcast. And once again, if you want to, go check out the other channel that we were also filming for, Peak Male Experiences, right here. Once again, not necessarily fully family friendly, but if you don't mind that, then we'd love it if you checked it out and subscribed.
Remember, you should totally subscribe and totally text comment down below your testimony and these near future podcasts that we do.
We'll try to read them and really get into how the events that changed your guys' lives and the power that God showed through your life. And once again, subscribe to us, ring that bell for upcoming podcasts and videos. And yeah. See you guys.
CB praise out.
CB goodbye.
CB later. See you later.
CB you later.
Okay, just turn it off, bro. Just turn it off.